Anchi,
Yes.
Wing Xiang,
Yes, sir.
Yagarani,
Yes, sir.
Yagarani.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we're looking at tutorial 12 on transfer pricing. All right. Uh, Question number 2. Correct? Okay, let's look at question number 2 in part A. Now, in part A of the question here, all right, you're required to calculate the effect. Okay, so the first part here is you need to calculate something, right? What is the effect that the transfer pricing system? That means you have a current transfer system, but that transfer pricing system, and how will this transfer pricing system has on the company's profit? All right, so to a certain extent, this question is asking company's profitability. So what do you think you should be calculating then? You should be calculating profit. Simple as that, right? So what you need to do here is for you to prepare what we call a profit statement. You have to prepare a profit statement, all right, for your division as well as your group's company, the company, right, the division as well as the company, right? Now, in part B is for you to establish the likely effect on profit. Now, again, likely effects on profit. So again, you have to prepare the profit statement, right? By adopting the suggestion of the manager of division B of the transfer price of 12. Okay. So in part B, right, is that if you're supposed to change the transfer price to 12, how would this actually affect your profitability? Now, from part B itself, you know that in part A, the current transfer pricing system will not be appropriate. This is actually the existing transfer price is inappropriate, and that is why you need to see whether the adoption of such actually give rise to a more, will this 12 be more appropriate? That is a question. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at this part here. Now, in this question, right, you have two divisions. This question you show that there are two division. One is your division A. All right. So division A actually manufactures a single standardized product. So your division A in this case is actually your supplying division. This is your supplying division. All right. Now some of the output here is sold externally, while the remainder is transferred to division B. So your division B here is actually your buying division. So this is a buying division, right, where it is a sub-assembly in the manufacture of that division's product. Now, the unit cost of division A product are as follows. So you're given the cost of production of this particular subunit, subcomponent. Okay. Now, then you're told annually 10,000 units of the product are sold externally at the standard price of 30. In addition, at an external transfer price of 29. Now, you see there's a difference of 1 ringgit, right? Why is there a difference of 1 ringgit then? So it's mentioned in this question. Transfer price obtained is by deducting the variable selling and packing expenses. That means to say this is an internal transfer cost saving. So you do not have to incur this 1 ringgit. You do not have to incur this particular 1 ringgit. Right? Now, then it's mentioned here about division B. So your division B here says that the manager disagrees with the basis used. Now, this sentence is very important. He argues that the transfer should be made at variable cost plus an agreed minimum markup, since he claims that his division is taking output from division A that will be unable to sell at a price of 30. Now, what is the significance of this then? What is the significance of this? Now, it means division B, right, is purchased A uses its spare capacity to produce for B. Right? So from this itself here, he claims that his division is taking output that division A would be unable to sell at the price of 30. Right? It means that division A actually using spare capacity to produce for internal transfer to division B. So the implication here is that this sales internal transfer quantity is determined by division B, right? This 5,000 units is determined by division B. Okay, so the meaning here is that since division B since division A is producing using spare capacity, right? So division A will have no say. So division B is the one that determines the quantity which is produced accordingly. All right. So there is a because of this disagreement, there is a study between the ratio between selling price and the demand. They are given these two amounts. Okay. All right. So the manager of division B claims that this side support his case. He suggests a transfer of 12 would give division A a reasonable contribution to its fixed overhead, while at the same time allowing division B to earn a reasonable profit. Right? He also believed that it would lead to an increase in output and improvement of the overall level of company's profitability. Right? So what do we do then for this question? Now, as mentioned to you before, in order for you to do these questions on transfer pricing, you will start with establishing the transfer price. I mean the relationship. Okay, Clement. Later, I take down your answers. So you start with establishing what we call the relationship between division A and division B. Okay, so let's draw the diagram. Yeah. Okay. Division A, right, supplies to division B, and division B will use the subcomponent to produce the final final product, which is the finished good. Final product, which is the finished good. Now, division A will also sell this component to external customer. Current arrangement here is that A transfer 5,000 units to B at a transfer price of 20 ringgit, right? At the same time, A sells 10,000 units to external customer at a selling price of 30 ringgit. Okay, right? And that's it. Now, there is no say about B. B is not indicated you can buy from external customer or external supplier. So this is currently just an overall summary of the relationship between. In part A of questions, where you need to calculate the effect of the current transfer price at 29 has had on the company's profitability. Now, what you need to do here is you have to prepare to call profit statement. Now, we will start with the profit statement, assuming that A and B is one single entity. So we prepare the first one, right? Assuming A and B is a single entity. So we prepare the profit statement from the group's point of view for part A. So part A, all right? Profit statement for the company, which is from the group, right? From group structure, ringgit. Okay, profit statement for company for group perspective, assuming transfer at 29 ringgit. Now, if you are looking at the group's point of view, from the group's perspective, okay, you are going to look at it, right, as if the A and B is a single entity. So try to imagine, right, that A is something like your production department, B is also your production department. Okay, so we're looking at the whole entity. Okay, so in this case, what would be the sales? Now, when you calculate profit, it will be what? Sales minus cost, isn't it? So the sales here reflects the sales of the final product as a group, isn't it? So if this is your whole group, right, your sales will be based on the final product. Yes or no? And what about the cost here? Your cost here is the cost of making incurred by A and B. So we would and I need to add the variable cost incurred by department B. All right, so the first thing that we need to do here is to establish what is the variable cost incurred by A and B in order for you to produce the final product, right? Now, coming back to the question, from the division A's point of view, if we're supposed to look at only the variable cost of production, it will include here, 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 right? Now, fixed manufacturing overheads will not be incurred, right? We're going to assume that we are using spare capacity, right? So this cost is fixed, okay? And these selling and packing expenses, so we can include, because for internet transfer cost, for internet transfer, there will be a savings of this 1 ringgit. So if I'm to add up the total variable cost to manufacture the component, it's actually the sum of 4222, which in this case is 10, right? So the variable cost incurred by department division A to produce the component is 10 ringgit. So I put this as 10, right? Now, coming back to NVIDIA incorporates the transfer goods into a more advanced product, and this will be the cost. Now, I will exclude the transfer cost item, which is the 29. From the goods perspective, it will contract out, isn't it? This 29 and 20, it will contract out, isn't it? Okay, so the variable cost incurred by division B, right, in order to convert the transferring goods to more advanced product will be here, here, here. This is fixed cost. Again, I need to add up this one. So 23 plus 3 plus 12 plus 1, that will be 39 ringgit. Okay, so basically, coming back to here, the variable cost incurred by division B is 39. So the total cost to manufacture, the total variable cost to manufacture the final product is 10 plus 39, that will be 49. Okay, so far? Right, so from the goods perspective, we just need to less the variable cost of production for this final product, which is 10 and 39. Right? So how do you do this then? So we put here selling price. Now to calculate the total profit, it will be your contributions minus your fixed cost, right? So we start with selling price. Now the selling price here refers to the final product. Okay, refers to the final product. What is the selling price for the final product, which is actually from division B, right? So you can sell at 80, 90, and 100, right? So I need to less our variable cost. And how much is our variable cost then? Our variable cost is actually the sum of 10 and 39. Sum of 10 and 39. So this will be 10 plus 39. That will be 49. So you do the same thing for the other two. Right? Our unit contribution is contribution per unit. So your unit contribution, so you just need to use the selling price and you less variable cost. Use selling price and you less variable cost. Right? So this is the contributions per unit. So to find out the total contribution, all I need to do here is I multiply by the demand in units. So we just copy from here 7,002, 5,000, and 2,800. 7,2, 5,000, 2,008. Therefore, your total contribution. This will be unit contribution, you multiply by the demand. Unit contribution, you multiply by the demand. Right? So from the goods perspective, when you produces 7,200 units, right? And the selling price is 80, isn't it? Okay. So from the goods perspective, total overall profit will be the highest, right? When they produce 7,200 units. Okay. Now, but then when it comes to our current arrangement, what is our current arrangement? Only 5,000 is transferred, right? Current practice is only 5,000. Is it because at when the transfer price is set at 29, right? The total quantity transfer is only 5,000. As I mentioned to you, it's dictated by B, right? So at 29, right, it may have motivated division B to transfer only 5,000 in order to maximize its own divisional profit, correct? But then our actual our optimum quantity is actually 7,200, which is totally not the same with the current arrangement, right? Okay? So how do we explain that? So we need to explain this before we move on to the based on the above calculation, the company will maximize its corporate profit and a total of 7,200 units of the final product is produced to earn the highest possible contribution at 223,200. Right? However, the current arrangement only 5,000 between both division. Right? You copy first. Now, just for information, transfer price is in your coming exam will be there, all right? It's a compulsory question, by the way. Usually, transfer pricing question is the most difficult. Okay. Now, having said that, transfer pricing is only 20. I think it's about 21 marks. It's one question on transfer pricing. I mentioned to you before, right? It will be combined with pricing decision. All right. So the pricing decision that will be a 9-mark question calculation, very straightforward. So I will expect all of you guys to get that 9 marks. So the 21 marks from the transfer pricing, right? Right, it's just to differentiate those who are the average student and those who are the better student. Okay, right now done. What 7,200, but the current arrangement is 5,000 units, right? So we need to double confirm. Is it because when the transfer price is at 29, it motivates the division B to choose only to produce 5,000 units? So we now need to continue calculating part B, part A, right? So we have to prepare the profit statement again, but then this time is for division B. Profit statement for division B, assuming transfer price is set at 29. Okay, so now we're going to look at the perspective of division B only. All right, so let me erase this part here. Erase. Now we're going to look at the perspective of what we call the division B only. So that means to say we have to calculate the profit statement for division B. So if you're looking at profit statement of division B, basically we're looking at division B as a standalone unit. Okay, so B will produce the final product and it will purchase the component from A. So it will treat the transfer price at 29 as part of the production cost. Right, so to B, the sales will be recognized will still based on the same one final product, but the total production cost of final product will be 29, which is the input cost from A plus 39. Plus 39. All right? So how do we do this then? Same thing, we still need to calculate the sales. We still need to calculate the sales equal to variable cost. Okay, now how much is the variable cost then? The variable cost here is 29 plus 39. Variable costs are incurred by B in order to manufacture the final product will be at 29 plus 39. So this will be 29 plus 39. Right, so the variable cost will be 68. Therefore, unit contribution will be 80 minus 68. 80 minus 68. Same goes for the rest. Right? So I'm going to multiply by my demand in units. 7,002, 5,000, and 2,800. Therefore, the total contribution is the sum, is the use your unit contribution and you multiply by the demand. Use your right. Now, from here, you see one thing, right? From the division B point of view, it will maximize its profitability. That means the division profitability when it produces 5,000, isn't it? Right? So this confirms our assumption that division B is the one that determines the quantity to be transferred. And to maximize its division profit, right? Instead of producing 7,200, only 5,000 will be produced, isn't it? To maximize its divisional profit, correct? Now, this is a go incongruent decision. Why? By right, the maximum contributions earned by the company as a whole is 223. But because of the transfer price at 29 and it motivates division B to produce only 5,000 units, right? Overall company's profitability will be capped at 205,000, right? So instead of transfer only 5,000, therefore only 205,000 profit contributions will be earned instead of 200. So we can say that the transfer price at 29 is inappropriate and will be leading to a suboptimal decisions to be made. All right, so how do we explain this then? Now your explanation, let me insert a text box again. Home, insert text box. All right, so based on the above calculation, division B will be motivated to produce only 5,000 units of the final product in order to maximize its divisional profit. Go congruent division and will lead to corporate optimality, right? As only 5,000 is produced, the company overall profit capped at 205,000 instead of let's not use the word overall profit, overall contribution, right? It's kept at 500 instead of the highest potential at 200, which is how much? 18,200. 200 and 223 minus, yes, 18,200. So, right, let me double confirm. This is equals to 223,200 minus 205,123. So that is a difference of 18,200. Yes, correct. right? So you have to further explain that this transfer price is inappropriate, right? Therefore, the transfer price of 29 is right at 29 ringgit per unit is not appropriate and will lead to corporate optimality. Okay, all right. I give you some time to copy this. Done? I say. Okay, let me see. Clement, Zhong, Zihong, and Amit. Clement, Zihong. Okay. Any question? All right, finish. Can I continue, Fabi? Can I? All right, silence means consent. Let's look at part B now. Part B. Now, in part B of a question, all right, you need to establish the likely effect on profits of adopting the suggestion by the manager of Division B of a transfer price at 12 ringgit. So this part B is asking, okay, since you say in part A, right, it's inappropriate, therefore, do you think when I change the transfer price to 12, will this have any implication on the so-called decision, whereby an optimum decision will be made, right? So what we do here is that we will look at what the divisions B, see whether the transfer at 12, right, will division B be more 1,000 units, right? So in part B, we will need to prepare again the profit statement, right? Or division B, assuming transfer price is set at 12 ringgit. So now our transfer will be set at 12 ringgit. Now, this one, it will be the same. I'll just copy here my post space. Okay. Sales will still be 80, 90, and 100. Right. Now our variable cost will be slightly different. Our variable cost will be 12, which is the internal transfer price, plus our existing variable cost is 39, right? And I add 39. That means 12. Now I change to 9 to instead of 29, right? We're going to change it to 12. Right, so we change it to 12 plus 39. Now be the variable cost, right? Now your unit contributions will be 80 minus 51. Demand will still be the same, is 7,200. 5 and 2,008. So the total contributions will be your unit contributions you multiply by the demand. Right? So when you change the transfer price at 12, right, which particular quantity division B will be motivated to produce and sell? And you notice total contribution is higher is when they produce 7,200, isn't it? Why not? So I highlight this. So that means to say at the transfer of 12, division B will be motivated to transfer a total of 7,200 units because this will maximize its particular quantity, right? This is a goal congruent division, isn't it? So that means to say division B will be motivated to produce 7,200, and this is a goal congruent division, right? Now the final task here is that okay, B will be more than happy to accept this transfer price. B will be more than happy to accept this transfer price because B will earn higher profit, isn't it? So originally the total profit earned is only 110,000, but you change the transfer price to 12, he will now earn 208,800. Right? So B will be more than happy when the transfer price is 12. So B will be happy at 12 ringgit. Correct? So when they change the transfer at 12, B will be more than happy to accept it. Now at the same time, this 12 ringgit, it will also motivate B to produce and sell 7,200 units, right? So this is a goal congruent decision. The question here is, do you think A will accept the transfer price at 12? Do you think A will accept the transfer price at 12? Yeah. It's mentioned in the question is that A currently uses what? Spare capacity for internal transfer, right? A is using spare capacity for internal transfer. So because it's using spare capacity, right, fixed cost will not be included. He needs to only make sure that the fixed cost will still be the same. He has to make sure that every internal transfer, there is an additional contribution earned. When the transfer price is at 12, variable cost is at 10. So every unit A transfer to B, it will earn a contribution of how much? 2, right? It will earn a contribution of 2, right? So when the transfer price is 12, variable cost of that per unit is 10. So every 1 unit A transfer to B, you earn a contribution of 2 ringgit per unit. Okay, and if B is motivated B will be motivated to produce 7,200 units, right? So the total contribution be 14,400. So A will earn an extra 14,400 contribution, 14,400 contribution when the transfer price is at 12 ringgit. So A will also accept the transfer price at 12. Okay, so how do we explain that? Now to explain this, all right, we should use the same thing here, like just now. So I insert a text box. All right, so we start with division B first. At a transfer price of 12, division B will be motivated to produce at the optimum production level of 7,200, right, to maximize its divisional goal congruent decision where the overall company's profitability will be assured, right? Then you can mention, as I mentioned about division A, division A will also accept the transfer price at 12 since for S, not since S, for every 1 unit transferred to B, it will earn an extra contribution of 2 ringgit, right? Assuming fixed cost is not affected. since it is using spare capacity to produce it, right? Division A will earn an additional contribution of 14,400 ringgit, which is 2 ringgit. You multiply by 7,200 units of to offset against the cost. So therefore, the rate and will lead to corporate optimality. And that's the answer for question number 2. Any question? Any question? Kenna? All right, any question? No? All right, so no question. No, I will assume no comment. So no comment means all of you understood. All right, so let's move on to tutorial 13. I'm not going to save this. Don't save. Let's move on to tutorial 13. Now, tutorial 13, we still have one more question we have to discuss, which is actually on this, Abu and Bakar. Abu and Bakar. Don't save. All right. Now, this question looks very complicated, but actually it's quite easy. Each division. So you need to calculate the profit for each division, profit for each division. If the external demand per period for the component that are made by Abu Bakar, Abu division is 15,000, 19,000, and 35,000. That means external demand is at this quantity, right? So if I'm looking at this one, I will need to look at the two divisions profit. So profit, the division of the two division, right? So I need to have the format that will be something like this. All right, so the quantity you can say is 15,000, 19,000, and what we call 35,000, right? So in order for me to calculate the profit, it will be sales less all the costs, isn't it, to get the profit. And first of all, right? Okay. Now, part B, calculate the financial impact on the group. If the Bakar division ignore the transfer pricing policy and purchase all the 20,000 components that it needs from the external supplier at 230 each. So the part B is you are going to ignore the current right from an external supply at 230, right? Now the things I need to highlight here, in this question, you have two divisions. One is called Abu, and one is called Bakar, right? Now, Abu division manufactures one type of component which is sold to external customer and also to Bakar division. So that means to say Abu here is actually the supplying division, and Bakar here is the buying division. Okay. Details of Abu division are as follows. So you're given the market price per component. Now, market price here is the selling price. You're given the variable cost per component, and you're given fixed cost. You have the demand for Bakar division is 20,000 component, right? Demand from Bakar is 20,000. Capacity is 35,000 component, right? So demand is at 20, capacity is 35,000. Now, Bakar division assembles one type of product which is sold to external customer. Each 2 units of the component. Now, this is for Bakar division. So Bakar division, the selling price of the final product is 900. Okay, you're given the again other variable costs as well and so forth. Now the demand is 10,000. The capacity is also 10,000, right? Okay. Now you notice this is 20,000. A component required by Bakar is 20,000, right? But then the capacity here, so the demand here is 10,000, right? Okay. So to produce the demand for the final product is 10,000, right? So Bakar will need a total of 10,000 times 2 to get 20,000. So as mentioned in this question is that 1 unit of the final product, you require 2 units of the component. That's why you get 20,000. All right. Now, this is important. Group transfer pricing policy must include opportunity costs. Now, if there is a need for the ABU to sacrifice external sales, you have to contributions forgo. This refers to the contributions forgone. Right? Now, then Baka division must buy the component from ABU. So Baka must buy from ABU. Right? It's a compulsory thing. Now, at the same time, right, ABU division must satisfy demand for Baka division before making external sales. So ABU have to sell to Baka before he can sell to external customer. All right. Now, how do we do these questions then? Now, let me, as I said, we start with drawing the diagram. We start by drawing the diagram first. Right. So here you have two divisions. One is called ABU. Right. It produces a component to Baka. Baka will use it to produce the final product. Okay. Now, ABU can also sell this component to external customer. How much is it? Selling price to external customer is 300 ringgit. 300 ringgit. So ABU need to transfer to Baka a total of how much? 20,000 units. Okay, and ABU has the capacity to produce 35,000 units. All right. Now, variable cost incurred by ABU is 205. 205. Okay, 205. Okay. $310 variable cost. 310,000 ringgit. Right? Okay, so it's more or less something like this, right? So how do we do these questions then? Now, in part A of the question, all right, it's mentioned in the question itself that you are going to calculate the profit for each division if the external demand per period for the component is made by ABU division as 15, 19, and 35,000. Right? Now we're going to start with the supplying division first. So we have to calculate prepare the profit statement for right. So we assume that the external market demand for the component is to be 15,000, and this is 19,000, and this is 35,000. By the way, this is an internal partial question, just for your information. This is an internal partial question. So external demand, right, for ABU is 15,000, 19,000, and 35,000. Okay, so how do we do this then? Now, you need to calculate the profit. And to calculate profit, right, it will be sales less your cost, isn't it? It will be your sales less your cost, isn't it? Now, for these questions, right, you have to separate your sales into two. One is the internal sales, and another one here is your external sales. Now, why I say that? Because in the question itself, you are looking at ABU. So ABU can sell customer, isn't it? All right. Okay. Now, I'm going to put here capacity. Abu's capacity is 35,000. 35,000 units. Right. Abu's capacity is 35,000 units. Okay. Right. Now, these will be sales. Now, then I need to less our cost, isn't it? Now, I'm preparing the format first. Now, what are the costs incurred in this question then? Definitely, you've incurred your production cost, isn't it? So you look at this question now. There is the cost. What cost is that? You have your variable production cost per unit, fixed cost per unit as well, isn't it? Right? So I need to less variable production cost. I also need to less fixed cost. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Let me close the door first. Okay, I'm back. So after all this, you get your profit. Okay, all right. Now, first of all, we have to calculate the internal sales. Right now, to calculate internal sales, right, let's change it to working one so that you can see better. Right, working number one. You can look at working number one first. Working number one. Right, so this is the external demand here. I copy and I paste. So working number one here is for us to establish internal sales. Internal sales. Okay, I bring this down. All right. So for produced using spare capacity, how much are produced, right? Whereby there is an opportunity cost involved. Opportunity cost involved. Spare capacity, and that will be include. Let me see. Instead of spare capacity, let me see. This will be non-spare. Okay. External. Okay. Sacrifice. Right. Now, what do you mean by that? Now, Abu capacity is 35,000. Now, bear in mind, annual demand from division B is 20,000 units, right? Annual demand is 20,000 units. Abu's capacity is 20,000. Not division B, but Baka. It's out of a total of 2,000 units required by Baka. Abu will have to utilize how much spare capacity, how much is based on spare capacity, how much is whereby you need to sacrifice external sales. Now, let's look at the first one. When your external market demand is 15,000, right? Okay. Abu capacity is 35,000, isn't it? Now, 35,000 minus 15,000, that means to say there will be a spare capacity of how much? There will be a spare capacity of 20,000 units, isn't it? I repeat, Abu's capacity is 35,000 units. External market demand is 15,000, right? So Abu 35,000 minus my external market demand of 15,000. That means to say there will be a 20,000 units of spare capacity which can be used to produce for Baka. Now Baka requires how many units? 20,000, right? Yes, no? So at these 15,000 units, there will be no external market demand. The external market demand is 19,000. How much spare capacity that Abu will have now? So this will be 35,000 minus 19,000, right? 35,000 minus 19,000, right? So in this case, the spare capacity will be 16,000, right? So Abu will use 16,000 spare capacity to produce for Baka. But the demand for Baka is how much? Is 20,000 units, right? So he will need to sacrifice 4,000 of the external sales, isn't it? Okay. All right. Now, for this, 35,000. For 35,000, so how much spare capacity do you think Abu have? Now, capacity is 35, external demand is 35. This will be zero, right? There will be no spare capacity that Abu has to produce for Baka. So in order to produce for Baka, right, you have to sacrifice 20,000. You have to sacrifice 20,000. So in this case, what we do here is that we need to calculate what is the transfer price then. Now, the first one is based on marginal cost. Now, if you're going to produce based on spare capacity, right, the transfer price will be based on the marginal cost only. But if you need to sacrifice external market, right, it will be marginal cost plus the opportunity cost. Marginal cost plus the opportunity cost. Now, how much is the marginal cost of production then? Now, in this question, Abu, variable cost is 205, right? So the marginal cost will be 205. Marginal cost will be 205, right? Now, what is the marginal cost plus opportunity cost then? How much is the opportunity cost then? Now, let's look at this question. If I know my variable cost here is actually 205 and my selling price is 300, right? How much is my contribution if I sell to external customer? 300 minus 205, that will be 95, right? Contribution will be when Abu transferred to Baka, he will have to sacrifice 95 ringgit of contribution. So this 95 ringgit here is actually the opportunity cost for internal transfer. I repeat, Abu can sell to external customer at 300, variable cost is 205. Therefore, Abu will earn a contribution of 95 ringgit per unit he will sell to external customer. So if Abu wants to transfer internal to Baka, right, he will need to sacrifice 95 ringgit of contribution. Okay, so far? So in this case, my marginal cost here, which is still at 205, right, and I add 95. So my marginal cost and opportunity cost will be 300. Right, so I do here, add up 205, 205 as well. These 20,000 units are total internal sales. So my internal sales will now be 2,000 times MC plus here times this. Right? So same goes for this. So this is my internal sales. This is my internal sales. All right. So 15,000, all these 20,000 units produced using spare capacity used based on marginal cost only. For this one, all right, for 16,000 will be subjected which are produced using spare capacity for internal sales. It will be only based on the marginal cost. The 4,000 units whereby you need to sacrifice external sales, it will have to forego the contribution. So this 4,000 will be subjected this to my internal sales here. I multiply here equals to this. Okay. Now for external sales is very easy, right? External sales is very easy. So he will have to produce internally before he can transfer it externally, right? So it will be 15,000. I multiply by 300. Okay, 300. Okay. Now variable production cost, you produce a total of 35,000 units. Variable cost, as mentioned just now, is 205 ringgit per unit. Fixed cost incurred is 1,575,000. Fixed cost is 1,575,000. Internal sales plus external sales minus variable cost minus fixed cost. Right, so this is the profit statement for Abu division. Now this is for Abu. We still have to prepare for Baka. Right, we have to prepare for Baka's division. Okay, so we have to prepare the profit statement for Baka division. So profit statement for Baka division. This one for Baka division is very straightforward. It will be sales less all your costs. So less variable production costs. Right? Using the less buy-in costs. Your fixed costs. Okay. Now the sales from Baka is very straightforward. It's mentioned in the question itself, right? Annual demand, external demand is 10,000. Selling price is 100 per unit, right? So this will be 10,000. I multiply by 900. 10,000 I multiply by 900. Right? And variable production cost here. Variable production cost is mentioned in this question, where other variable cost is 310 per unit, 310 per unit. So 310 per unit, and you produce a total of 10,000 units. Right? Now the buy-in cost here, you just link to the internal sales. You just link to the internal sales. Right? Your 970,000, right? So 970,000. And that's it. So your profit, right? So it will be your sales last year, last year, last year. Right? And that's the answer for part A. Any question? Any question? No. Thank you, Ziong. All right. So that's the answer for part A. Now let's take the part B then. Total internal sales. Can, no problem, NG. Now, the complications come from internal sales, right? Okay. Now, as I mentioned to you, Abu actually sells to Baka as well as to external customers. Let's look at transfer pricing policy. The transfer pricing policy in this particular question is that Abu must sell to Baka first before he can sell to external customer, right? And it's in this question, right? It's in this question, right? He said that transfer pricing here must include opportunity cost, right? Must include opportunity cost. So the big question here is, out of a total of 20,000, right, that Abu transferred to Baka, how many will be subjected to opportunity cost? How many will not be subjected to opportunity cost? Right? So there are three scenarios whereby the external market demand could be 15,000, 19,000, or 35,000. Right? External market demand will be 15,000, 19,000, or 35,000. This is the scenario. Okay? So to do this, we come to this working. Right? Now, Abu's capacity is 35,000. Annual demand from Baka is 15,000. So capacity is 35,000, right? So 35,000 minus 15,000. That means Abu, all right, use 15,000 to produce for external demand. If you still have a spare capacity of 20,000, right? Correct? And the demand for Baka is 20,000. So the total 20,000 produced, right, will be based on spare capacity based on this scenario, number one. So there will be no quantity for transfer internal transfer whereby it will be subjected to any opportunity cost. Now we move on to the second scenario. Now in the second scenario here is that there is an external market demand of 19,000. 19,000, second scenario. Okay, now if you know the external market demand is 90,000, how much spare capacity will Abu has to produce for Bakar? So what we do here is we use 35 minus 19. So 35,000 is the capacity for Abu. I minus 19 of external market demand. That means there is a spare capacity. So 16,000 will be produced using spare capacity to Bakar. But the Bakar's annual demand is how much? 20,000, right? So I will still need to produce 4,000, right? 4,000 of these units transfer internally to Bakar will be subjected to external market sacrifice. Okay? Then scenario number 3. Now external demand is 35,000. Capacity for Abu is 35,000. So 35 minus 35,000, that means to say it doesn't have any spare capacity. So if Bakar needs 20,000, because there's no spare capacity, right? So for internal transfer of this 20,000, it will be subjected to external market sacrifice. So you need to forego external contribution of 20,000. Okay? So that is how you get this 20, 16, 14, 20. Now, for those transfer using spare capacity, the transfer price will be based on the marginal cost only, which in this case is 205. All right? For those that you still need to calculate what is the opportunity cost. Now, the opportunity cost here is actually your contribution foregone from external sales. Contribution foregone from external sales. All right. So from here, your external sales is how much? Your external sales is 300, where because 205, that means each unit, your contribution is 95. So whenever Abu sells to external customer, one component will earn 95 ringgit. So if Abu needs to transfer internally to Bakar, he will have to sacrifice 95 ringgit of contribution, which is your opportunity cost, right? So 205 plus 95, that's how you get 300. Okay, so 20,000 will be subjected to those that are produced in spare capacity. The transfer price will be at the marginal cost of 205. Those includes the opportunity cost of internal transfer. Okay. So NT can understand, ma? Can. Good. All right. Any more questions? No problem. I'll be more than happy to ask to inform you if you don't have any inquiry. Right now, please, you guys, if you have any questions you don't understand, you can ask me to repeat. I'll be more than happy to make sure that you guys understood. Okay. So that is how you get your answer for part A. All right. So can I assume all of you have no issue of this? Can I? Okay. Now, so once you're done there, let's look at part B now. Now, part B of question here is for you to assume now that calculate the financial impact on the group if Bakar division ignore the transfer pricing policy and purchase all the 20,000 components from external supply at 230. All right. So we are going to ignore this part here. Meaning say here, okay, Abu, let me change my color first. Bakar will now buy from external customer, external supplier at 230. So all the 20,000 units by Bakar will be purchased from external supplier. So there will be no more relationship between Abu and Bakar. There will be no more relationship between Abu and Bakar. So Abu will only sell to external customer. Bakar will buy from external supplier. So there will be no internal transfer. Can follow so far? So you need to calculate the Abu's profit and Baka's profit. Okay? So how do we do that? So this one very straightforward. Okay? So for part B, Baka will purchase units of component externally at 230. So Abu's profit statement for Abu, right? Profit statement for Abu, it will be based on the selling price of the external buy at 15, 19, and 35,000, right? So I copy and I paste. Right, so profit statement for Abu will be based on the external sales only. So this is very easy. It will be sales less variable cost less fixed cost. Right? How much sales he can make? This will be 15,000. Now selling price, the market selling price is 300, right? So I multiply by 300. Market same goes for this. So you just need to use a quantity multiplied by 300. Okay. Now variable cost is based on the quantity and then multiplied by 205. Variable cost will be based on quantity and multiplied by 205. Same goes for this. Okay. Fixed cost incurred 1575 000. 1.575 million. Therefore, your profit, right, it will be sales minus this minus this. Right? Now, from Baka's point of view, profit statement for Baka. So Baka will be set feasible again. So we're going to assume Baka will be a standalone product. So Baka will sell the final product, all right, which is 10,000 units. Then all the components will be purchased from external supply at 230. Okay, so profit statement for Baka. Your sales here will be 10,000 units multiplied by 900 ringgit selling price per unit. All right, 900 and your selling. So this one will be same for 3 years. Right? Then you need to less other variable costs. Now your other variable costs will be very similar. So it will be 10,000 times 310. Right? Then you need to less component costs. You go buy 230, right, from external customer, right? And the total component that you need will be units. All right. And lastly is the fixed cost. So I need to less fixed cost. Now the fixed cost here is 970,000. 970. And that's it. So profit will be the sales less variable cost, less component cost, less fixed cost. Right? So what is the implications on the overall gross profit? So profit for the group, okay. Transfer. Profit growth based on internal transfer. Right? Now to get this, you just need to sum up the profit of Abu and Baka. Right? Sum up the profit for Abu and Baka. So this will be profit for the group if Baka chases or externally. Right? Profit will go for if Baka purchases or externally. So again, you add up both. Abu is here, and I add Baka. Right? So this is the impact on profit. So this will be this minus this. Right? Now, how are you going to interpret this then? Now, the interpretation is something like this. Now, your profit for the group based on internal transfer, right, is that, as I mentioned to you, transfer pricing for internal transfer has no bearing of the overall corporate profitability. So your overall gross profit should be the same because there is no, it's something your left pocket going to the right pocket. So transfer pricing have no impact on the group's profitability. But the moment Baka purchase externally, right, okay, the profit will be slightly different, right? So the implications on profit is that if your production is below, if the external sales is below 19, moment your external sales is increased to 35,000, it's better for you to purchase externally, right? And that's the answer for question part B. Any question? Any question? Can ma? Can? Okay, thank you very much. Right now, the next part of question here, all right, which is actually on the discuss any two possible transfer pricing policy. Right, this one you can mention anything: fixed cost plus pricing, marginal cost plus lump sum, dual pricing, anything, any two of it. All right, any two of these, any two are possible, which is negotiable transfer pricing, then your dual pricing, marginal cost plus lump sum. Now that one you just refer to my notes for the explanation. It's very much in detail. Right? Now, any questions before I say sayonara? Any more questions to say? To say? No? Right? Speak. Although I don't discuss anything, I will convert all my tutorials to consultation hour. I repeat, I will convert all my tutorials to consultation hour. All right. Please drop me an email 1 day prior to your tutorial. Then I will come in, all right, for consultation. If I don't receive any email 1 day prior to the tutorial, right, I will not come in. Okay, ma? Now, not only that, you can join the tutorial for this week, you can join for the next week, you can join any tutorial. I convert all my tutorial classes to consultation hour. So if any question you want to ask regarding your so-called, the tutorial or the lecture that you don't understand, right? Please drop me an email earlier. I will join the tutorial groups. Okay 吗？可以吗？ Are you okay with that arrangement? Okay, so this is my last stuff with you. Furthermore, I'd like to thank all of you for your kind cooperation with me for the past 30 minutes. At the same time, I'd like to apologize. Supposed to say I hurt some of your feelings or being exam. Hopefully, I don't see you again in the same subject, right? But in different subject. Okay, so this may not be the last time I'll be teaching you. I teach DM, I teach PM, I teach APM, I also teach SPM. So basically, after decision measurement, I will also teach other subject in the future. So hopefully we can have this cordial relationship again. So take good care of yourself, right? All right. Okay, any question? No question? All right, take care of you. Bye bye. Good luck.
Sir, you didn't mark my attendance.
For which one?
Monday. I'm in the Monday class.
Monday class. Okay, wait.
And sir, I asked you the answers for the tutorial for the Make Good one, sir. You said you will upload.
The recent one.
The Make Good one. The decision uncertainty one.
Which one? Oh no, I will upload everything. I will upload already. So I think I have not. There are still some I haven't uploaded only, right?
Yes.